Yacht Racing Forum Day 1. We are here with Alexandra Rickam, which is the Head of Sustainability for World Sailing. Hi, Alexandra. So, what does sustainability mean for world sailing, and what does it mean to you?
Well, sustainability for world sailing is, we look at it in the traditional sense of holistically across social, environmental, and economic, and how we operate as a sport. It's intrinsic to who we are at this point. We have an agenda 2030, which is our strategy, and it's got 56 deliverables across environmental and social areas. So it's pretty comprehensive, quite full on, but it's something that we're pushing really hard to try and achieve the goals. And then from a personal level, I've been involved in sustainability and like environmental science and so forth in school and throughout. But for me, it's really important because I'm half Jamaican and I come from an island state, which is direct impacts of climate change, and so I think it's incredibly important for us to try and create a more sustainable lifestyle and also a future for the next generations that are coming along.
Well, about this, you taught in the conference about inclusivity dial. What does it mean that climate change means gender and ethnicity injustice?
Well, it's all an intersection, so the reality is if we look at everything in separate boxes, then we're not really getting the whole picture. The realities are that women are affected by climate change, and all genders are affected by climate change. It's also a fact that, people of color are affected by climate change, and then also the people on the planet who have the least are going to be the most affected by it. And in terms of sailing, that means our communities who are in coastal regions are going to be directly impacted by it, and are directly impacted by the impacts of climate change. And so we need to look at that cross section every time that we're considering anything that we're doing, and make sure that we are exhibiting appropriate climate justice, that we are considering everybody and kind of what those impacts are for them, and that we're also the voice for them, for those members of our community.
I'm sure that we need to give a voice to everyone, that is for sure. And how do you think, during the COVID period, I think we had a lot of time to think about sustainability. Do you think COVID had an impact on how we think about sustainability?
Yeah, I think it has had a big impact because it's also taught us to live in a restricted lifestyle, hasn't it? We had to not fly, we couldn't go anywhere. We also had to deal with the fact that our supply chains have been affected by it. We're still seeing the impacts of the supply chains being affected by it. So I think it did give us that lesson. The problem is that as humans, we do have also very short memories. And so it's now for us to recognize that in the same way that we were able to elicit immediate change for a pandemic, we should be able to elicit, faster change in terms of how we tackle climate change and how we deliver on the requirements of the Paris Agreement and, and anything that's coming out, that is coming on top.
There is a couple of arguments that I would like to discuss with you. The first one is greenwashing, which is a really hot topic when it comes to sustainability. What are some examples of greenwashing in sailing?
What are some examples of greenwashing in sailing? I'm not going to go into that because the realities are that greenwashing can be quite difficult for us to pinpoint, because I think the realities are that if you are acquiring finance from different sources, the realities are that if you're also helping to increase your impact in terms of decrease your negative impact, increase your positive impact, then it's that's not greenwashing. If you're just increasing your negative impact, then it could be seen as greenwashing. If you're claiming sustainability credentials, so but that's like we said in one of the sessions, statistics can be manipulated in ways that we need, and so it's always a really difficult space to operate in, especially within sponsorship currently.
Yeah, it's always depending on who's making the statistics and.
Exactly. So in terms of pinpointing that, I wouldn't want to pinpoint anything, because I think we need to have you know, we need to be able to benchmark everybody against each other and be able to be really clear on what deliverables we're expecting and what the negative impact is and what the positive impact is, and how we clarify that. So
another big argument about sailing is is what I call abandoned boats. So many boats are built per year and somehow they get abandoned, but they never get recycled and they include in pollution. So what could be a solution for that, and how big is the problem?
The problem is substantial. We don't necessarily have all of the data. That's one of the things that was discussed earlier on today, is that actually in terms of as an industry, we don't necessarily need more data. You know, this morning in our opening speech alluded to the fact that the United States have a lot of information in terms of actually the number of boats that were sold and where they were, etc., and the demographics. But across globally, we don't necessarily have that much detail. So I think one of the things is, one, we need to know how many there are, and we need to know where they end up. But two is, you know, we're working on solutions also alongside that. So for example, the World Sailing Trust and World Sailing and World Biathlon, ICU, a few other international federations have been working on a carbon circularity project. And you know, we're using a lot of carbon. Sport is like the third largest user of carbon on the planet. So what we're doing is we're trying to come up with a way that we can create a circular economy around carbon fiber, that it gets, you know, if we're using it, and it's used for the right reasons, it's then put into the system and we have an end of life process for it. And that's what we need to get better at. You know, when we're building boats, we need to also be looking forward to what is the end of life of this boat? How is it going to be recycled? Do you need to use these materials? Should we be using different materials? And so also with the sustainable boat building community, we're very much trying to figure out actually how do we improve in terms of our industry as a whole.
Yeah. The fact that sailing is not yet the most sustainable sport among all, it's well known, unfortunately. The last thing that I want to ask you is, what is the future? What do you see in the future for sailing, and do you have a last message to leave?
What do I see in the future for sailing? I see a sport that I hope, but I feel, you know, we're at that point is that it's more diverse and more inclusive. And I think also one which has the ability to lead in terms of change. I do think that we have the ability that we're big enough but small enough to be an example of, you know, a collaborative space that can implement change, that can innovate, and that can actually help drive our sustainability agendas further forward.
Thank you very much for the interview. Thank you very much for your time, and well, good luck with your job.
Thank you.